Hey, what's going on, everyone? Colin here from moremoneymaintenance.com. It was an insane week in the market this past week, so obviously today we're going to be looking at the anomalies of GameStop and Dogecoin. If you spent any time on the internet these last few days, you've seen the countless new articles, videos, and microblogs all talking about this new market craze. As many of you know, GameStop soared roughly 400% in the last 5 days. If you haven't heard why, a group of Redditors wanted to hit some of the big hedge funds where it hurts by forcing them to lose money. Essentially, these hedge funds were short-selling GameStop, which is just Wall Street speak for betting against it. If you don't know how this works, check it out. So the hedge fund thinks that GameStop stock is going to go down. To profit off of this, the hedge fund will then borrow one share of stock at $30 per share and immediately sell it. Now, if GameStop goes down to, let's say, $10 per share, the hedge fund can then buy it back and return it to the institution that they borrowed it from. So they profit $20 a share here. This is exactly what the hedge funds were trying to do with GameStop, but on a substantially larger scale. Instead of borrowing just one share, the hedge funds were borrowing hundreds of thousands. What they did not anticipate, though, was a rallying cry by the subreddit Wall Street Bets to fight against the top 1%.
For one chance, just one chance, to come back here and tell our enemies that they may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom!
See, the Redditors conspired against the hedge funds to use supply and demand to drive the stock price up instead of down like the hedge funds were betting. There's only a limited amount of GameStop shares in existence. Every time somebody wants a share, the demand for it increases, therefore increasing the price. Reddit used the power of volume to get everybody to ask for it at the exact same time. Since everybody wants the same thing and there's only a limited amount, those who are selling it could keep asking more for it per share, and as long as there's somebody willing to pay for it, the price would just keep going up, which is exactly what happened. All the while, major hedge funds were betting that the stock price would still have to fall. And logically, this makes sense. GameStop's revenue has been declining for several years now, and most gamers know that there's not really a need to visit GameStop anymore, with digital downloads and Amazon and major retailers all carrying video games. Yet a lot of Redditors have decided otherwise. The group believes that the company is bound to turn around due to changes in the board of directors and changes in their business model. And some don't even care about the success of GameStop as much as they care about the failure of the hedge funds. So even though current GameStop valuations are unrealistic, they continue to push it. So how does this hurt the hedge funds? Well, as I mentioned before, they're betting on the stock going down. If they borrowed and sold GameStop at $30 a share, and then the price skyrockets to $100, they now have to buy it back at $100 a share to return the borrowed shares. And it doesn't even end there. Since they are now buying back hundreds of thousands of shares at a time that they borrowed, this causes the stock price to increase even more. So now there's other hedge funds that have to buy it back at $150 per share, causing it to continue to climb. This is known as a short squeeze and could be a very tough situation to get out of. The short squeeze, along with the Redditors pushing so hard to buy the stock, has driven GameStop from $20 per share on January 12th to $325 on January 29th. The group of retail investors on Reddit were successful in costing the hedge funds billions of dollars.
Billions and billions and billions and billions and...
Nearly $19 billion to be exact. So it seems that Reddit has achieved its goal of going after the elite. But now what? I'm concerned now that all the hype is going to continue to bring in new retail investors. The problem is, GameStop is now extremely overvalued, and many of the hedge funds have eaten their losses and closed out their short positions. So who's left to foot the bill? Thousands of small investors have purchased the stock at a price that is fundamentally overvalued. Continuing to do so will only make the problem worse. At some point, especially when all the hype is over with, the stock price will likely return to fundamental levels. While many Redditors have taken the approach of going down with their ship, so to speak, I personally feel that this is not the right way to approach it. The billionaires lost billions, but still have billions. Meanwhile, the retail investors may have won their battle here, but now risk losing their entire investment. So who's winning the war? Bringing yourself down in a fight, while noble, does not fix the problem in the long term. Yeah, maybe it did make the elite look bad for a day, but they're going to get up tomorrow and jump right back in. Yet if you ride this ship down, what are you going to be in a position to do tomorrow? Now, many people have countered that by saying,
well, if you actually paid attention, you'd realize that the stock price has gone up hundreds of dollars, so people have made millions.
But that is not completely correct. While people may own the stock that's currently valued at millions of dollars, they don't have millions of dollars until they sell it. The only way to sell it, you have to find someone willing to buy it. Obviously, Wall Street isn't going to buy it. They've been betting that it's going to go down since $20 a share. So who is going to buy it? All that's left is the small retail investors. The only way to cash out of this is to sell it to the same people that you've been fighting alongside. So who's going to take this L? Who's willingly going to lose their investment so that everyone else can lock in their profit and leave this whole issue? I just don't see how this ends in favor of the retail investor. The only way that's possible to escape this is by everybody agreeing that they will just never actually cash out all the profit that they've made. And I just don't see that happening. So my warning to new investors, if you haven't bought GameStop yet, just don't buy it. Because for every share that you buy, someone else is looking to dump and just lock in their profits. And now they're leaving you to handle the mess. So while it might be possible for you to just jump in real quick and get a profit and leave, you may also jump in at the wrong time, right when everybody else is jumping out. So far, this has been pretty wild, right? Little guys beating the big guys, hedge funds losing billions of dollars, Reddit, of all places, changing an industry. But in my opinion, the weirdest thing to come out of all of this is this. For the first and probably the last time ever, we just saw Ted Cruz not only retweet, but actually write in words that he agrees with AOC. Elon Musk has a conspiracy that we're all living in some kind of simulation or something like that, and this might be all the evidence that I need to actually believe that. All jokes aside though, let's jump over to literally the most valuable joke of the week, which is a Dogecoin. For those of you who don't know, Dogecoin's a cryptocurrency that was created as a meme. It literally is after the Doge meme that you've seen for like 10 years now. So seemingly trying to accomplish the same goals as Wall Street bets, the Dogecoin subreddit exploded with a push to buy Dogecoin on January 28th. The goal was to, quote, send Dogecoin to the moon, by everybody going in and trying to buy it at once. Initially, there was actually massive success. The coin skyrocketed several 100% by going from 3 cents per coin to about 8 cents per coin. If you're unfamiliar with Doge, this is actually an unbelievable feat in itself because the coin has no intrinsic value. 5 billion new Dogecoin are mined every single year, and it appears that it'll never be capped. So with billions of Dogecoin in existence, it's tough to see where its value is actually stored, if not in limited numbers. But with that said, I do actually personally own a tiny bit of Dogecoin. I bought it more as a joke about a year ago for less than a quarter a penny each coin. So this past Thursday, I temporarily saw my initial investment skyrocket to like a 2,400% gain. Well, I did cash in on some of this just because, like, who can't cash in on a 2,400% gain? I also kept some due to the volatility of it. I think it's like there's a lot of hype potential with Dogecoin, and being that it seemingly has caught the attention of many huge names, including Elon Musk, I think that it's going to have a lot of like spells and fits like this where it's skyrocketing up and down. But with that said, I never think it's the right time to buy anything when there's such a hype around it. Someone bought the coins that I sold at 7 cents each, but the coins that they bought are now really only worth 3 or 4 cents each. In other words, they took about a 50% hit. Now, some people will say that they're holding for the long term and that initial 50% loss doesn't really matter, but I kind of have two comments on this. Well, first, I actually saw many Redditors go back and say, I'm ready to cash out. They saw a 50% loss and it scared the heck out of them, and they just don't want anything to do with it anymore. They didn't know what they were getting into, and they don't even know what they're getting out of. They just saw the hype and jumped right in. And second, a legitimate buy and hold strategy is a great approach for a vetted investment that has an intrinsic value. That's honestly what I recommend for almost all stock investments, right? Like, you should buy them, and you want to be an owner of the company. You want to be a part of all the profits and everything that they accrue throughout the business life cycle, but not for a literal meme, right? Most of the people buying Dogecoin at 7 cents a coin were just new investors thinking they could swoop in, buy something at 7 cents, and then sell it later for $100. They thought that they found the quick path to just be a multimillionaire that could just kind of retire in the next couple of weeks at 18 or 20 or 25 or 30, however old they were. They didn't actually vet the investment. And so I'm sure some of the people that bought it at 7 cents probably only spent a couple dollars or maybe even $30, something, nothing major. But there's actual like proof of people spending thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars in some cases, of buying a literal meme coin. So in my opinion, if you really want to just get in on something like this, just use a small dollar amount and consider your timing, right? Like, a small dollar amount when you're buying it for less than a penny is outstanding. And Dogecoin has that kind of volatility. I have a very strong feeling that it's going to end up under a penny again. And so a small dollar amount will go a long way there, and just have fun with the crazy ups and downs. Now, another issue that's come out of this whole thing is another revolt against the Robinhood brokerage. With the Dogecoin craze in like a full swing, Robinhood limited the use of instant deposits to buy cryptocurrency. For those of you who don't have a Robinhood account or are just not familiar, one of the perks that Robinhood offers its members is a free instant deposit of up to $1,000. And what this means is you can immediately invest the first $1,000 that you deposit into your account instead of waiting for the transaction to clear. Well, in the heat of the Dogecoin craze, the Robinhood temporarily disabled this feature for buying cryptocurrencies in general. This caused a major uproar and many vowed a mass exodus from the platform. While I don't necessarily agree with many of the things that Robinhood has done this past year, I'd argue that we really can't blame them for this. I honestly think that instant deposit is a privilege. And by that I mean, if you look around, Robinhood was one of the first platforms to even allow it, and is one of the only that do allow it still. Most brokerages make you wait 3 to 5 days for your transfer to settle before you can actually buy anything. Why? Because it takes 3 to 5 days for any kind of financial transaction to process, get sent to your bank, received by the receiving party, and confirm as legitimate. So in other words, like bank transfers take time. And this is the same across all institutions. Check out the next time that you pay your credit card bill, right? You'll pay it, and it'll take sometimes 2 days for it to show up as a pending payment, and then another 2 days to show up as actually paid. Obviously, that's not a one-size-fits-all. Sometimes things go faster than others, but in general, it takes time for these transactions to process. So in order to motivate retail investors to kind of get involved in the market, Robinhood started allowing instant deposits, knowing that patience and attention span of our younger generation is just about zero. We don't have that. And I mean, honestly, we all expect things to happen with the click of a button. That's how we were raised in an environment surrounded by technology. So how does Robinhood give you instant access to the deposits? They essentially lend you the money. Robinhood gives you a loan for that first $1,000, and then when your deposit comes in, they just take that as repayment of the loan. Now with this Dogecoin craze, hundreds of thousands of people all decided to deposit money at the same time, being that Robinhood was one of the places that you could actually buy Dogecoin. And the problem was that Robinhood would then have to lend all of these people $1,000 each, and that it would be to buy a speculative coin that doesn't have any regulations and is not capped and can be infinitely produced at the moment. Robinhood couldn't risk lending hundreds of millions of dollars to new investors who are just speculating on something that doesn't have an intrinsic value, other than the hype surrounding it. I'll even go a step further, saying that this benefits anyone who already owned the cryptocurrency on Robinhood. Because if they went under, because they loaned out hundreds of millions of dollars that all just happened to disappear in this weird meme coin, crypto investors on the platform would have lost everything. Why? Because crypto is not covered by SIPC insurance. For those who aren't familiar with SIPC, it's similar to the FDIC insurance that covers your bank account. Essentially, your first $500,000 in your brokerage account are protected by the federal government in the event that your brokerage platform goes bankrupt. It doesn't protect you if like your stocks go down or anything like that, but if Robinhood were to go bankrupt, your stocks and the value of your stocks would be protected by this SIPC insurance. So if we only own stocks in our account and Robinhood went bankrupt, we're fine. We're insured. But any of your money that's in any kind of cryptocurrency, it's not covered. Obviously, nothing like this has happened before in recent times, in times where cryptocurrency is a thing. But we can only reasonably assume that if Robinhood were to go under, you would lose your cryptocurrency. So there was a lot of people on the Dogecoin Reddit bashing Robinhood for putting in this protective measure. But depending on how much money they had invested, they could lose a lot if Robinhood were to go under. So it's really in our own interest that they're not over leveraging themselves to give everybody free money to buy a coin that could fall under a penny as soon as nobody's talking about it again. So as such, I really do think that Robinhood did the right thing here by turning off the instant deposits for crypto. So covering all of that took a very, very long time. I still can't believe that we're talking about Dogecoin now. Like, this is just a totally different financial world than I even went to school for. But I want to take a minute to just go through our traditional portfolios that aren't about meme cryptocurrencies or short squeezes, but just a traditional portfolio made up of index funds. I just want to cover how it's performed since we started it in December. So if you take a look, we see that all 5 of the portfolios are in the red right now, and the worst performing one is our dividend portfolio. I'd argue, though, that this is unfair because no dividends have been paid out yet since we've been tracking these, and since this is a dividend portfolio, that's where it's supposed to derive its value. So I think we'll get a clearer picture as time goes on and those dividends start to roll in. What I'd really like you to take from this, though, is that each one of these 5 portfolios only started with $100, and we've contributed now $25 a week to each one of them. And even our worst performing one is sitting on a cushion of $220. And obviously the market's been extremely volatile. So I'm proving here that the consistency matters, that you'll take advantage of the cheap prices when the market's down, and you'll take advantage of all the successes when the market's up. So keep this chart in mind as you continue your investing journey. Consistency is far more important than short spurts of intensity. Even if you're down in the short term, the long term will pay off. If you want to know what makes up these portfolios, just check out some of my previous videos. I go in depth of each of the portfolios and just explain how they're made up. So to review, some of our key points today were learning about a short squeeze, learning that even hedge fund billionaires are not safe from the power of Reddit, of all things, that people really did drive a meme coin up several 100% in a single day, and that our traditional portfolios are still holding steady, minus a little bit of a loss right now due to volatility, but throughout all of this nonsense, they still are holding steady. I want to reiterate that first, I am not some crypto expert. I've been spending a bit more time reading and learning about it due to how strong of a hold it has on the financial industry, but I still have a lot to learn. And second, speculating on some weird Dogecoins or joining in on hype stocks is not the best way to invest your money. Obviously, small dollar amounts to have fun is not an issue, but don't dump massive amounts of money into the hype. As Warren Buffett says, be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful. And finally, I am still some rando on the internet, so please take what I say with a grain of salt. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to light up that like button, subscribe, and leave any of your thoughts in a comment below. And most importantly, remember to tune in next week to conduct some more money maintenance.